Hi, everyone, and welcome to our first Bitly Expert webinar. Today, we're going to be talking about the process of migrating to our most recent version, V4, of the Bitly API. Today is August 26th, 2019, and we have some great guest experts with us today that we're going to learn a lot from. So first, we're going to do quick introductions. We'll talk a little bit about what Bitly is, our vision and mission, and then we're going to turn the conversation over to our expert for today to talk about the Bitly API. We're going to introduce what V4 is, talk about migration, and talk about how to plan for that migration and when it should be finished by. To just introduce myself, my name is Hannah Stone. I am a customer training specialist here in Bitly headquarters in New York City, and I will be hosting and moderating today. So with that, I want to turn it over to Kelsey to introduce herself.
Hi, everybody. I'm Kelsey Stevenson. I'm the Director of Product Management with a focus on our API and integrations here at Bitly.
All right. So with that, I want to talk a little bit about what Bitly is, our vision and our mission. We do this for all of our webinars. We like to talk about our vision, which is that we believe trusted, meaningful connections fuel communication and understanding. And our version of those connections come in the form of short links, and using the API allows you to do that communication at scale. And our mission is that we empower businesses to create trusted, powerful, recognizable links that maximize the impact of every digital initiative. And of course, using our scaled API will help you maximize whatever impact you're doing. So with that, I want to turn it over to Kelsey to talk about our Bitly API.
Great. So just an introduction to the Bitly API and why we're here and what do you need to know before March 1st, 2020. Right now, Bitly currently supports two versions of the API, version 3 and version 4. We are announcing the sunset and formal deprecation of V3, as well as formal deprecation of API keys. We are moving all of our customers to API V4, and there's some additional value for our customers as well. So today I'll go over what we need to do to plan the V3 and API key sunset and when we need to plan it. Our recommendation is ASAP. And why you should be excited about migrating to API v4 and what additional features it will offer you. So when we start with planning your migration, please remember the date March 1st, 2020, very important. After this date, all calls to any version other than API v4 will return an error, and this will be the formal sunset of that version. We have also disabled API keys. If you've noticed in the application, when you go to retrieve your API key, there has been an in-app message for the last few months announcing the deprecation. We will be formally disabling the ability to acquire these keys as part of this sunset. We ask that you register your OAuth application today, as V4 authentication has been upgraded to follow the OAuth 2.0 specification. We also want you to be familiar with the resources available to you as a customer of Bitly to assist in the migration of V3 to V4. So again, action is required on your part as we sunset this version in favor of our new, greatest, and latest version of the API. So just a little bit of background, how do people use our API today? It's leveraged to shorten, brand, share, and retrieve data from links programmatically. Many of our customers access our functionality via our API, and we're embedded in several platforms to get the most out of Bitly. But why V4? Some of the value behind it. It's a little more modern and secure. It's developer friendly. We've reduced the complexity and we've decreased the level of effort for integrations. And we've done this by adding key features expected of modern APIs today, including OAuth 2.0, group permissions, and more restfulness behavior. In terms of OAuth 2.0, how do you get started and how do you register your OAuth application? It's very easy. You go into our application and click My Registered OAuth Applications. You get the registration code, and we send to the email that's associated with your account the registration code and the link to formally register your application. And what's the benefit to you of doing that? OAuth 2 is more secure than just retrieving API keys. And we've seen a great response from our customers after releasing this. In terms of group permissions, what is it? We've got several documented details of group permissions, but essentially in V3, you were required to generate a different OAuth token to view each group's data. But in V4, we structured it in a way that you provide the group GUID as part of the request, and then we submit it all back to you. So if you're an enterprise customer and you may have multiple groups associated with an account, you can retrieve those groups and then receive the data with that. It's been something that our customers have been asking for, and so we delivered in V4 and we're excited about it. In terms of restfulness, we've added some features that we're hoping reduce the complexity and are more developer friendly for you. The Bitly V4 API follows a more standard convention, and so we utilize HTTP response codes to identify the status of the response. And we have some examples of those in our Bitly documentation. In addition, we changed the way that we deliver the data. So under V3, our responses were contained in a data envelope, but now we return in a JSON object all of the data provided by the response. This is standard across most APIs, and we've heard a lot from our customers that it's reduced the complexity. So, in short, why V4? There's several new features, and it's additional value, more developer friendly. And how and when to migrate. Please, as soon as possible, begin your migration. Reach out if you need support. But the drop dead date is March 1st, 2020. And with that, I think we'll go to the next slide, where we have our further resources. So I'll turn it back over to Hannah, and she can talk through some of these.
Absolutely. Thank you, Kelsey, for that explanation. Before we get into talking about these resources, we'd like to address a couple of questions that have come through. Some of them will be answered maybe with the resources on this page. The first question is, where can I find resources to help me integrate Bitly with my CRM specifically? So we have some resources here in our knowledge base and a specific area for integrations, but Kelsey, if you have some light to shed on that question.
Yes, I do. I would follow the link that's provided here for a knowledge base, and there you will find a plethora of articles that will help you connect those CRM systems.
Great, and I will actually show in my screen share here some examples of that. So you should be able to see here our knowledge base. There's lots to do here in the knowledge base, lots of helpful articles, specifically under integrations. You can find a lot about our supported integrations, specific articles about individual integrations that you can use, including a lot of CRMs and other marketing technologies. So that's bit.ly/KB. And hopping back to our resources page here, you can also see a link to our API documentation, which has a complete walkthrough of how to implement our API and anything that you need to know to get it up and running. So a couple of other questions we have here from our attendees. This one I think is also for Kelsey. Do I need to register an OAuth app if I'm just using Bitly API to bulk shorten URLs from a single account?
It's a great question, and the answer is no. Most folks using the Bitly API may be writing to one or more applications within a single account. For this use case, you don't need to worry about implementing the entire OAuth 2 flow. Instead, you can access a generic access token from the Bitly UI. So you log into your account, you go to the page where you would register your OAuth app, and instead of going through that workflow, click Generate Access Token, and we will supply that for you.
Excellent. Looks like another question about how the API works here. Does Bitly institute rate limits, and have those rate limits changed with V4 of the API?
Another great question. Bitly does institute rate limits, and they're associated with the account that you've purchased through us. They have not changed significantly with the new version of the API. So the rate limits that you're seeing today, if you're calling V2 or V3, should be similar and not significantly different than those with V4. And for more information about rate limits, we have some detailed documentation on dev.bitly.com.
Excellent. Yes, the API documentation spells all that out, but you're right also, Kelsey, that it depends on our account holders' contracts with us. So check your contract for that rate limit. If you're not sure, contact your account manager and we can make sure that you know what your rate limit is and it's the right one for you. Okay, one more question here. What can I expect of the upcoming expert webinars? I can say from our side, from training and programs, that we'll be doing them on a monthly basis. They won't all just be about the API migration, but the first few will, and we'll be talking about that's a major theme for us as we approach this sunset date. And you can learn more at this link here, bit.ly/learning. We have a large series of webinars of different levels and different levels of depth and intensity in the information. So I will ask Kelsey to expand a little bit on what the upcoming expert webinars will cover.
I'm really excited to announce that we will have engineers that are on our integrations team at the next few monthly expert webinars. And this will be an opportunity for you to ask questions. You can ask very detailed and specific questions that you might have. You may share any difficulties that you find in this migration or give us feedback on the API. That would be welcome as well. We'd like it to be interactive, and we'd like to go deep dive into some of the capabilities of the API and answer any questions that you might have.
Excellent. Yeah, it sounds like there's going to be a lot more detail and a little more in the weeds in future expert webinars, which is going to be really helpful for everyone. So thank you in advance, Kelsey, for your expertise and your team's expertise. I just want to talk a little bit about these other links on the page here. As we mentioned, bit.ly/KB is our knowledge base. Lots of articles, not only about the API, but about everything in your Bitly use. That API documentation can be found at dev.bitly.com, and the specific information about integrations, whether that's with your CRM or another marketing tech, can be found directly at bit.ly/KB-integrations, also can be navigated to from the knowledge base. Again, all of our webinars at bit.ly/learning. Any other final thoughts, Kelsey, or anything else you want to add in?
No, I just want to thank everyone for attending and taking the time to learn more about the new API v4 and encourage everyone to migrate as soon as possible. We will be adding more features. We are always looking to innovate using our API and delight our customers. So we really look forward to this way of communicating and helping support you all as you use our API.
Thank you so much again for your expertise and for joining us today. And thank you to everybody who attended, and we hope that our session was helpful for you. Keep an eye out at that bit.ly/learning page where you'll see updates about our upcoming expert webinars as well as the rest of our training webinar series. And we'll hope to see you back here again soon.